The stars were quiet. Too quiet. Captain Joran, of the Zelri patrol ship Velthera, leaned forward in his chair, staring at the screen. A low, deep sound had just echoed through the comm system. It wasn't static, it wasn't natural. It was a roar, loud, wild, and wrong. "What is that?" one of the crew asked, her voice shaking. "It came from Sector Valoan 9, Joran said. "That's the mining outpost. No live signals from there," another crew member replied. "The outpost? It's gone." Joran frowned. "How?" The crew pulled up visuals. The screen showed a burned crater, metal twisted like paper. No buildings, no survivors. Only ash. But everything below had been turned into darkness. And then it came again. The roar, it shook the ship's walls, even though it was only a recording. It was deep and heavy, like something massive was screaming into the void. But underneath the roar, barely heard, was something else. A voice, not alien, not beast, something old, something feared. The voice whispered, "Relo." "No translator match," the AI said, "but the voice is human." Joran stood slowly. "Impossible. Humans died centuries ago." "Maybe not all of them," someone whispered. "The Velthera reached Valanine hours later. The planet was dead." Black smoke rose from cracks in the surface. The landing pads were melted. No power, no signals. Joran led them, weapons ready. They moved through what remained of the command center. Burned skeletons leaned against shattered walls. Some looked like they had tried to escape. The walls were marked with holes, bullet holes. "Claws didn't do this," the science officer said. "This was done by weapons." "Controlled fire? By whom?" Joran asked. "And who did they fight?" They found the control room half buried in rubble. Inside, one recording still worked. The final moments of the outpost. The team watched in silence. A group of aliens in uniforms were shouting. Something had breached the walls. The camera shook. Roars echoed everywhere. One soldier screamed and vanished off screen. The lights flickered. Blood sprayed across the camera. Then, in the middle of the chaos, its helmet was cracked, showing part of a human face size, cold like ice. Then the screen filled with static, and again that whisper, "Reload." The team left quickly. Joran didn't sleep that night. He stared at the stars, wondering, if humans were gone, who or what was walking among their ruins? Back at the Galactic Council, Joran presented the findings. "The outpost was not attacked by beasts," he said. "It was eliminated by something precise, something trained." He showed the footage, the roar, the voice, the figure, gasps, filled. "The room? That's impossible," said Counselor Drilth. "The Earthborn were destroyed 500 years ago." "Are you sure?" Joran asked. "Because that voice said reload, and our records say humans were the only ones who ever used that word." News spread fast. Across 10 systems, fear returned. Long ago, humans had ruled space with fury and power. They were fierce, unpredictable, and dangerous. But they had disappeared in the Great Silence, or so everyone believed. Now something had returned, something that sounded human, something that fought like a ghost. On a quiet moon near Valoan 9, a cargo ship was making a routine. "Drop atmospheres normal," the pilot said. "No life detected." They landed, walked out. 5 minutes later, one of them screamed. A guard was missing. They found his helmet first, cracked, burned, his weapon melted. Then they found Trax-heavy boots, too large for most known species. And then came the sound, a low growl, not mechanical, not natural. A roar, but deeper. Like a storm hiding behind a mountain, the second guard turned, raised his blaster, a weapon in hand, and glowing red lines down its arms. "Who are you?" the pilot shouted. The figure didn't answer. It just lifted the weapon, clicked reload, and vanished into the fog. The pilot lived long enough to send a message. His voice shook. It wasn't a monster. Static, then silence. Joran read the message again and again. He looked at the face in the footage. Human, yes, but more than human. Stronger, colder, trained for one purpose. War. Find out everything about Earth's last program, Joran ordered. "I want to know what they left behind, buried deep in old human archives." A plan, not with rage, but with precision. Joran understood now. Only when someone tried to erase them, the roar was not of a beast, it was a warning. And the word reload was not a cry for help, it was a signal that night. Across several systems, the same message appeared on OLED screens. The stars are not safe. The roars have begun. The Earthborn are not gone. Patrols doubled. But it was already too late. In the dark corners of forgotten space, lights blinked on old bunkers buried deep in moons and planets, opened for the first time in centuries, and from the shadows. They stepped out tall, armored, silent, humans, or what was left of them. They didn't shout, they didn't run, they walked, and they reloaded. The council room was cold. The walls were made of crystal that glowed blue, but today they felt like ice. Leaders of 27 alien worlds sat in silence, their eyes fixed on one screen. A message had been found. It came from an old relay station near the destroyed mining planet, Valuanine. The station had caught a signal right before it was destroyed in emergency broadcast, buried under heavy static and noise. It was weak, broken, but real. The technician pressed play. At first, only static, then dash shouting, explosions, screams, a voice, male, speaking fast in an old Earth language. Sector breached, they're everywhere. Unit 6 is down now. Everyone's down, I need backup. Where the hell is command? Gunfire. Then silence. After 10 long seconds, the voice came back. Slower, weaker. We held the line, and then it roared. The message ended, no one spoke for a long time. Counselor Drex of the Corin people, a tall figure with silver skin, leaned forward. Can you confirm that was a human voice? The technician nodded. Yes, definitely human. The language is Earth Standard English, old form. Another counselor hissed. But Earth is gone. It died 5 centuries ago. Joran, the Zalari captain, stood beside the screen. Or that's what we were told. He looked around the room. This soldier was not just alive. He was fighting, organized, controlled, and most of all trained. Drex narrowed his eyes. Fighting what? Joran's jaw tightened. We don't know, but it wasn't chaos. It was precision, not like monsters or beasts. He tapped a button. The screen changed. Footage from the black box recovered on Valuanine played. The tall, armored figure walked through smoke and fire. He moved calmly, like he had done this 1,000 times. He turned toward the camera. Part of his helmet had broken. His face showed no fear, just focus. He raised the weapon, aimed, and the screen went black. Then one word echoed through the audio. Reload. The council chamber filled with murmurs. That word again, Drex said slowly. Yes, we've heard it twice now. Each time connected to death and destruction. A younger counselor from the Reichtar species leaned forward, his voice trembling. What if it's a command? A code? Joran didn't blink. Or a warning. Outside the council's chambers, the streets buzzed with activity. News had leaked. Citizens whispered in alleys and shadowed markets. The word reload had become something terrifying. Some thought it was a new weapon. Others believed it was the name of an alien god of war. But the oldest races, those who had once fought humans in ancient times, remembered, and they were afraid. Far away, deep in the dark of forgotten space, a small ship drifted alone. Its name was the Dancer's Edge, a private courier vessel. The crew had been hired to investigate wreckage from an old satellite that had fallen near the edge of the Sylar expanse. They didn't expect to find anything, but they did. The pilot, young Lurvian named Kita, pulled in the debris slowly. Captain, she said, I think this is human tech. The captain, a grumpy Morcar named Gintral, came over. His eyes narrowed. The panel was marked with a faded logo. UED, United Earth Defense, and a number. Echo Protocol. 013. The crew stared. No one's used that name in 500 years, Kita whispered. Gintral tapped his cum. Bring it aboard, carefully. They placed the wrecked panel on the cargo bay floor. Suddenly, lights blinked on. A blue hologram projected upward. A human face appeared. Male, short hair, steel gray eyes. Echo Protocol 013 activated, the hologram said. Earth has fallen. Vengeance Protocol engaged. Stand by. The crew backed away. What the void is this? Kita asked. The hologram continued. If this unit has been found, then the Guardians have awakened. We are not monsters. We are answers. The stars will remember us not because we lived, but because we returned." The hologram flickered once. Morin shut off. The room went dead quiet. Kita whispered, "That wasn't a message. That was a threat." 2 days later, the Dancer's Edge went silent. No more signals, just nothing. The last thing they transmitted was a short voice log. Kita's voice, screaming into the mic. "They're here there, not dead. They're worse now. Run." RUN static, another ship was sent. They found nothing but empty space and a single bullet. Floating among the stars, back at the council, Joran stared at the growing list of disappearances. Mining outposts, research vessels, patrol ships, all gone. The only clues: roars, destruction. And one word whispered in broken recordings: reload. Joran had spent the last night digging through restricted records. Old war files, Earth archives, most had been deleted. But one document survived. It was simple, a message from a human general to his people in their final years. Joran read it to himself again. "They will come for us. They will burn our home. But they forget, we are not soil. We are fire. And when the stars forget our names, we will teach them again." He leaned back, heart pounding. This wasn't a ghost story. This was real. The Earthborn had left behind something powerful, something that remembered, something that waited, and now something had woken it up. That night, across the galaxy, screens flickered on in darkened control rooms and military bases. A new message appeared: no sender, no signal, just a silent feed, a single figure, standing alone on a battlefield of ash and blood. He looked into the camera. His eyes glowed faintly. Then, in a calm voice, he spoke. "Reload." The feed cut. The stars had been silent for too long. Now they roared again. "They're just stories, myths, ghost tales," the young alien said with a nervous laugh. But the old war historian didn't smile. His 3 yellow eyes narrowed. "No, they were real. I saw the Earthborn with my own eyes once, and I prayed I'd never see them again." Story: the Galactic archives on Zaire Prime were the largest collection of knowledge in the known universe. Every race, every war, every peace treaty, they were all recorded and stored here. But some records were locked, hidden, classified as too dangerous to study, and only one man had access to those files. Archivist Ren Talvis, a grizzled old alien from the long-lived Drosari species. He had lived through 2 interstellar wars, and something worse. On this cold morning, he was called back to the archives. "Sir," the assistant whispered, "we received a request from the council. They want everything, everything about the humans." Ren froze. Not Earth, not humanoids. They had used the real word, the old name, humans. He turned slowly. "Bring me the black files. All of them." 2 hours later, Ren stood alone in the dark chamber under the archive's main dome. He activated the ancient projector. A soft blue glow filled the air. Files opened. Words long forgotten. Footage erased from the galaxy's memory. He read the first file title aloud. Operation Earthborn, Profile of the Human Warrior Class. The footage showed a battlefield. Ash everywhere. Bodies both human and alien. Giant walking tanks. Explosions. And in the middle of it, all humans. But not like any today. These humans had steel armor fused to their skin. Implants across their skulls. Eyes that glowed red or blue depending on combat level. No fear, no retreat. Only destruction, and always, always, after each kill, they would pause and reload. The next file shocked Ren even more. Earthborn Condition Red. Weaponized psychology, it explained how the humans had discovered something the rest of the galaxy never understood: fear as a weapon. They used sound, roars, sudden silence, whispers, a loud bang just before a charge. Even children were trained to fire real weapons from age 10 to the humans. War was not just about winning. It was about breaking the enemy's mind. They created special divisions just to appear monstrous. One program, Unit Hollow Echo, used soldiers who never spoke. They painted their faces white. War-torn armor played the sounds of screams through their speakers when attacking to the enemy. It was like being hunted by death itself. Ren opened the last file, one he had never dared look at. The Echo Protocol. If Earth falls, the message inside was short. A single human general, speaking directly to the camera. His face was scarred, his uniform burned, but his voice was steady. If you are hearing this, Earth is gone, but we are not. You thought our death would be the end. You were wrong. We are Earthborn. We don't die, we reload. The screen cut to black. Ren sat in silence. He knew what this meant now. The roars, the voice, the destroyed outposts. It wasn't an accident. It was a plan. The Earthborn hadn't died, they had simply waited in the outer sectors. Word spread like wildfire. Entire planets began preparing for war. Others fled. A small science vessel called Zareth Blade was searching ruins on a dead moon. When they discovered a strange chamber underground, they opened it. Inside was a room of sealed metal pods. The writing on them was strange, but one word stood out, written in Old Earth Standard: sleep until revenge. Suddenly, one pod blinked green. Steam hissed and slowly. A human hand reached out. The science team ran, but it was too late. Only one survivor escaped. She recorded what she saw. He stepped out of the pod, naked, burned, covered in metal. Baines, he looked around and said nothing. Then he found a weapon, picked it up, looked at me. The rest of the crew were never found. Back at the council chambers, but we don't even know how many exist. Another leader, said Joran stood. I do. They turned to him. He activated a hologram. A map of the galaxy appeared. I traced all Earthborn operations before the silence. I found at least 7 known deep sleep bunkers across the stars. All of them could still be full murmurs. So we're dealing with hundreds? Drex asked. Joran shook his head. No, thousands, maybe more. And now he paused. That signal has come, in a hidden corner of space. Station powered up for the first time in 500 years. The words on its surface glowed bright. Echo, Hammer, Earthborn, command inside. Machines began to move. Pods opened, lights flashed, and from every hallway came footsteps, heavy, in sync, humans, but not the same as before. These were Earthborn vengeance units and hand soldiers, designed to awaken only when Earth was lost. And now, their eyes opened. The lead soldier, Unit 7, Alpha, stood before a giant screen. He saw the stars, he remembered everything, and as the system handed him a weapon, he smiled slightly. He pulled back the slide of the rifle. Click, reload, he whispered. The others joined in, voices low. Reload. The galaxy had forgotten Earth. Now Earth had remembered the galaxy, and it was time to teach them fear again. In deep space, a patrol ship drifted silently. Its lights flickered. No life signs, no answers. Only a single message played from its black box. Hold fire, now. And then came the roar. Story: the ISS Veilrunner was a stealth patrol ship, fast, invisible, and equipped with the best sensors in the galaxy. It was designed to avoid war, but today it found one. Captain Velix of the Otrari Navy sat frozen in his chair. The ship had gone silent after receiving a distress call from the neutral zone near Sector W19, a sector. Long abandoned since the Earthborn silence, they found the Veilrunner orbiting a dead gas giant. No lights, no signals. Velix ordered his team onto the boarding shuttle. Inside the ship, everything was wrong. No blood, no bodies, just weapons scattered on the floor. Some still fully loaded, others with one bullet missing. The ship was cold, but the walls were scorched, like something had burned through, then stopped. I've never seen anything like this, the engineer whispered. It's like they were hit by controlled fire. Felix looked down. Bullet casings, old-style projectiles, he muttered. This isn't a normal attack. Then they reached the bridge. The pilot's body was still, strapped in, but his head was gone, clean, surgical, no mess. Only a single sentence scratched into the wall. Beside him, Echo 7 confirmed, "Do not follow." Coombs' officer gasped. That's Earthborn code. Velix turned to the black box terminal. Play the last recording. Static. Then, target appeared inside the ship. No breach, no alarm. Just there, he moved too fast. Shot 2 of us before we even blinked. Not like a monster, not angry, just calm. Cold. The voice paused. It shook. He looked at me. Raised his weapon, said, "Hold fire." Now then, everything went dark. A deep roar echoed through the speakers. Not animal, not machine, something in between. Ship Argus Prime. Captain Velix met with Commander Thalon of the Council. This wasn't random, Velix said. This was an infiltration. Thalon frowned. By humans, Velix nodded, but not normal humans. He acted like he belonged inside that ship, like he knew every control system, every escape route. He didn't destroy everything. He destroyed only what mattered. Thalon stood slowly. We're dealing with tacticians, not beasts. Velix leaned in. And here's the worst part. There were no signs of entry, no docking scars, no teleport trail. He was just inside. Cloaked? Thalon asked. Velix shook his head. Not even that. Something else. A silent dread fell over them. Across the stars, the stories were spreading. Patrols gone missing. Ships destroyed with surgical precision. Footage showing flashes of tall, armored humans moving like shadows. The term Earthborn was returning to every mouth. But now, a new name was being whispered in fear: the Echo Units. A rogue broadcast appeared on civilian channels. A distorted voice speaking in Earth Standard. This is not a war. This is a response. We warned you, we slept, but now we've reloaded. In the hidden core of Echo Hammer Station, Command Center glowed red. Commander Silas Wren, once a general of Earth's final defense army, stood over the war map. His body was more machine than man, kept alive by AI organs and cold rage. Silas nodded. A younger Earthborn unit, 9 Bravo, stepped forward. Sir, why are we not engaging larger targets? Silas turned. His voice was calm, slow. We are not here for glory, not for war. He pointed at the map. We are here for memory. He touched one planet after another. These are the systems that turned their backs when Earth burned. These are the ones who said we were too wild, too dangerous. 9 Bravo clenched his fist. They called us monsters. Silas's eye glowed brighter. Then we'll be the monsters they remember. He looked toward the command screen. Send Unit 13 Ghost to the Council world. No killing, just entry, just proof. The AI responded. Confirmed. Ghost Unit launched. On Council world Drellian, life went on as usual. Towering cities, floating vehicles. Alien species from across the galaxy, shopping, working, living. No one noticed the tall figure walking calmly through the streets. He wore simple black, no armor, no weapons visible, just gloves, and a long coat that moved slightly in the breeze. He passed a street. The screen flickered. He walked past a guard station. Their weapons powered down without warning. Inside the council tower, a young assistant picked up a data tab. Froze. Footage from the building's security feed showed something strange. A man walking through all levels with no clearance. And no one stopping him. He walked into the council chambers, looked at the camera, smiled, then whispered, "Reload." The feed cut. Panic erupted. Guards rushed in, but there was no one there. Only a data chip left on the desk. Inside it, all the locations of the council's black sites, human prisoners, hidden war crimes, forbidden tech. The council had been exposed, and one line was written across the top of the file. You called us ghosts. Now we haunt you. Across the galaxy, everything changed. The aliens who once laughed at humans now shivered at every shadow. Every unknown signal became a threat. Every flicker in the dark could be an Earthborn. The question was no longer if they were back. It was how many. And how much time the galaxy had left before they struck harder. Back on Echo Hammer, Commander Silas Wren watched the fear spread. His soldiers waited. Silent, he looked out at the stars. They thought we were dead, he whispered. They thought the roars were from monsters. He turned to his AI. But now they know the truth. The AI responded, "Yes, Commander, the truth is." Silas finished the sentence himself. Reload. The moon was dead, covered in acid fog. No species could survive it without armor. But something was walking through it all, silent and unprotected. It wasn't a beast, it was human, and it carried a weapon that hadn't been seen in 5 centuries. Story. The mining colony on Tarkelsavan went silent without warning. No distress signal, no explosion, no survivors, just silence. The acid fog that covered the moon made it hard to scan. The planet had always been dangerous, but profitable, rich in rare minerals. The Council sent a search team of 6 elite soldiers to investigate. Wore full body armor, heat-resistant, fog-proof, toxin-sealed. As they landed, fog swirled around them like smoke. Visibility dropped to 2 meters. Even their scanners glitched. "Keep formation," said squad leader Varus, a reptilian commander with 30 years of service. "We sweep and leave. Quick and clean." The team moved forward through the mist, stepping over scorched mining equipment. Everything was broken, cut cleanly, not melted. Blades, energy weapons. It wasn't clear. No bodies, no blood. No blood, just ... Absence. "Something's wrong," whispered one soldier. "This doesn't look like a monster attack." "Silence," Varus ordered. Then the first soldier vanished. No scream, no sound. 1 second he was there, next, gone. Delta 3, respond. Varus called, no answer. The team tightened. They started hearing sounds. Clink, clink, metal on metal. A slow, steady sound. Like someone reloading a weapon. "Is that you?" Nothing. Then the fog shifted. They saw him. A tall figure walked slowly through the acid misnosuit. No mask. The skin on his arms was burned, scarred but somehow still alive. Glowing lines pulsed faintly beneath the skin. He held a long, old-style rifle. Human design, barrel scarred but deadly. He was calm, not limping, not charging, just walking. Just walking, step by step, toward them. "Identify yourself," shouted Varus. The figure didn't stop. The soldier next to Varus raised his blaster and fired. The bolt passed straight through the fog. Nothing, no figure, no sound, only mist. Then a bullet struck the soldier in the chest, armor-piercing, silent. Instant, he fell without a word. The team broke formation, spread out. That was their second mistake. One by one, shadows moved through the fog. The team fired in every direction but hit nothing. Each soldier dropped, hit by unseen shots. Always silent, always clean. Varus was the last. He stumbled backward, trying to send a signal to orbit, but the signal was jammed. He turned and saw him. The human face calm, eyes glowing faint blue. The human raised his rifle, slowly. "No rush, please." Varus whispered, "What do you want?" The human spoke only once, "Reload." Then the screen on Varus's helmet went black dot in orbit above Tarkal 7. The dropship pilot waited for the team to check in. They never did. Then the fog below glowed faintly. Not red, not fire. Blue dot. A symbol appeared in the fog. Burned into the ground with heat, a human skull, surrounded by 7 stars, the mark of Echo Unit 17. The pilot fled. News of Tarkal 7's fall reached the Council within hours. "What killed the squad?" One asked. "Nothing." Another answered. "They were removed, quietly." "Precisely." Counselor Drex gritted his teeth. "We've underestimated the humans." Joran spoke next. "They're not monsters. They're shadows. Hunters, soldiers. Trained for one thing, vengeance, and they're winning," whispered another. Meanwhile, on a frontier station near the edge of known space, a lone survivor stumbled into a med bay, burned, bleeding, shaking. He was the only living member of a deep space crew sent to map old Earth territory. Doctors rushed to treat him, but he spoke only one sentence over and over. It wasn't a monster, it was trained. He described what happened, how a Manjust-1 had entered their ship without detection, how he moved like vapor, struck like lightning, and vanished into darkness. "He didn't kill for fun," the survivor whispered. "He killed because it was required, like it was." Duty back in the command room of Echo Hammer, Commander Silas Wren listened to the reports. He stood silently, watching red dots appear across the map. One, a system hit by an Earth soldier. Unit 17 had completed his mission. Another whisper came over the private channel. Target eliminated. Resistance, low visibility, high, returning home. Silas responded, "Confirmed, reload complete." He closed the comms and turned to the AI. "How many have we activated so far?" The AI's voice was calm. 9 units, 6 operational, 3 in deep recon, and the others awaiting your command. Silas stared at the map. "They are not ready for full war, not yet. Let them feel the pressure. Let them fear every footstep. Let them ask themselves, he turned away voice. Low, ... Was that roar a monster or a man with a rifle? On a quiet world far from the center, a child looked up at the night sky. His father told him the stars were safe, that monsters were only stories. But tonight, the stars felt different. The child heard something outside, a low sound, almost a whisper. He leaned closer to the window and heard it again. Click, reload. A council hospital room was sealed. Guards posted, security doubled. Inside, the only surviving soldier from an elite alien squad sat trembling. His armor was cracked. It was trained. Story: Medical Station Thatton 9 was orbiting a small star, far from any war zone. Normally, it treated injured miners and space pilots. But today, Species lay still. His 4 arms were wrapped in bandages. His armor, once bright red, was blackened by fire. Doctors tried to calm him. They see OULDN, single quotes T. He kept shaking, eyes wide open, whispering the same words again and again. He moved like smoke. Silent, no fear, no rage, just cold. The head? Doctor, a pale Zarnathi named Dr. Mail, tried to understand who, she asked softly. Who did this? The soldier looked up. For the first time in hours, he spoke with focus. A human. He said quietly, I've seen the footage, but I need to hear your story. Start from the beginning. No threats reported. Standard operation. We had full armor, 3 drones, pulse rifles, motion sensors, everything. No gunfire, nothing. Just, one by one, the drones stopped working. Power failed, the lights flickered, then we heard it. Joran narrowed his eyes. Heard what? A footstep. Just one, loud, heavy, right behind us. The soldier shivered. We turned, and he was there. But modified, what did he do? Joran asked. He stared at us, the soldier whispered. Then, he pointed at one of my men and fired. Clean shot, head gone, no scream. And then the soldier's voice cracked. He didn't rush. Lights separated us, picked us off, one by one. Joran clenched his jaw. You're telling me one man defeated your entire squad? The soldier looked him in the eyes. One human did. Whispered the word like a curse. Reload. Joran left the room. Outside, Dr. Mail waited. He's not insane, she said quietly. Hesitated. How do we stop them? Joran didn't answer, because he didn't know. Back in the council chamber, they're acting like ghosts. You can't detect them, you can't predict them. You only find out when it's too late. And to make sure we never forget what they were capable of. He activated the holoscreen. A map of the galaxy lit up. Red dots began appearing each one, a system that had gone silent in the past. Any more, Joran said grimly. We're watching the beginning of a campaign. Back on Echo Hammer, Commander Silas Wren studied the same map. More systems lost. More whispers of Earthborn soldiers walking through fire, fog, and silence, leaving no survivors. His second die in command, Unit 22 Saber, stepped forward. Was allowed to live. Why? Silas didn't turn. He was the message. Saber tilted his head. Munsuch? Silas nodded. One soldier escaped. One voice left alive. That's all it takes. He looked at the war board. One whisper turns into fear. In a war room on Goroth Station, alien generals prepared a response. Their plan was simple. Send 100 elite troops to known Echo unit locations. Overwhelm them. End this. Goran tried to stop it. You don't understand, he warned. These aren't just soldiers. They were designed to defeat armies. Alone, the general laughed. Joran sighed. He had said enough. The team was deployed. 3 days later, only one signal came back. A single file. No video. Just sound. The sound of footsteps in metal halls. Gunfire, screams, and at the end, a calm human voice saying, reload. Then, silence. The council held an emergency meeting. Drex slammed his fist on the table. We can't keep losing like this. They have strategy, Joran said. Stealth, fear, speed, and they fight for something stronger than conquest. He paused. They fight for memory, for vengeance. They were told they were forgotten. He looked around the chamber, and now they're making sure no one ever forgets again. A new message appeared on secure channels. encrypted in old Earth code. We remember who turned away now. We reload. Counselor Drex looked pale. They're not just fighting, they're counting. Each kill, each victory, each silence, Jorah nodded, and each whisper becomes a storm. Somewhere far beyond known space, on a quiet moon, a small child played. Outside his shelter dome, he heard something. Not a roar, not thunder, just a click. Then silence. He turned. Planet Curellan 5 was known for its peace. No war in 300 years. No weapons allowed. Even its skies were quiet, until one morning when all the birds fell from the sky at once. No sound, no blood, just silence. And then one word appeared in the sky, written by drones. A lot of story. The people of Curellan 5 lived quiet lives. They grew food, studied the stars, avoided conflict. They had signed the Great Disarmament Treaty long ago. With the birds, they fell mid-flight, like their wings had turned to stone. Next, the towers went down. Emergency channels were silent. Even backup systems failed. A system failure. But they were lying, because satellites in orbit saw something strange. A formation of small, old-style human drones flying in perfect silence. They weren't attacking, just circling, and then they lit up. Not weapons lights. Thousands of them forming a single word in Curellan's sky. Uloladith, the world froze in the capital city of Valara. The Prime Governor demanded answers. Who is doing this? Why, Curellan? We are peaceful. But no answer came, not from their scanners, not from their allies. Only one feed came through a pirate signal. Force broadcast across every screen on the planet. It showed a field of stars, and a human voice, slow and calm. We remember you, Curellan. You turned away when Earth burned. You watched, and you stayed quiet. Now you'll understand what silence feels like. The screen showed flashes of past Curellan broadcast snooze anchors laughing at Earth's fall, politicians saying they deserved it. Then the voice returned. You chose silence. Then the screen went black dot panic. Swept the planet. No one knew where to run. There were no bunkers, no weapons, no soldiers. Curellan had believed in peace, and now it was naked in front of war. But the Earthborn didn't send bombs. They sent fear all across the cities. People began finding strange signs, symbols drawn in chalk on their doors. Old Earth, bullets placed gently on park benches, holograms of human warriors, eyes glowing faint blue, projected on empty streets. They said nothing, they just stared, and then vanished. Elsewhere, deep in a hidden part of the galaxy, aboard Echo Hammer, Commander Silas Wren watched a map of Curellan. Unit 19 Ghost had completed the mission without a single casualty. No shots fired, no soldiers deployed. Silas smiled. The mission, he asked. The AI responded. Result, psychological collapse. Population fear rating, 97%. Resistance, 0. Weapons detected, 0. Planet status, disarmed and broken. Silas turned. Our goal isn't destruction, he pointed. At the map, our goal is memory. Back on Curellan, a young journalist named Tari Malin tried to make sense of what was happening. She hacked into the blackout feeds and found the source of the pirate signal. It was an orbital repeater, station ancient, from Earth's golden age. Somehow still functioning. She flew there herself, alone, with only a small shuttle. What she found inside changed everything. A single terminal, a human skeleton, button. The armored chest plate read, SGT, Daniel Wren, Earth Defense Force. Beside him was a journal. Tayar opened it. The first page read, I was left behind. No rescue, no orders, so I waited. And when the stars forgot Earth, I reminded them. I became the signal. I became the roar. I reloaded. Tari sat there for a long time, tears in her eyes. This wasn't about revenge. This was about truth, about a soldier who refused to be forgotten, who turned silence into his. The galaxy listened. The council met in emergency session again, but this time something was different. Not panic, not rage, but regret. Joran stood, became the silence between stars. The noise, they thought, was static, but it was always us. Waiting, he looked at the others. You still think they're monsters? Not the way we think. They are showing us what we did, making us face the history we erased. Counselor Drex leaned forward, voice shaking. How many of them are left? Jaren closed the journal slowly. I don't know, but however many they are, they don't need an army. He paused, because fear is doing the work for them. Later that night, on dozens of planets, messages appeared again. Not through violence, but through memory. Stories began surfacing. Children of alien, broken treaties. Allies turned away. The truth was out. The galaxy had let Earth burn, and the humans had not forgotten, in an abandoned spaceport on Arcaliantu. No war, just truth. This is what a whisper becomes. Earthborn Unit 13, he reported it, but by the time security arrived, the bullet was gone. Only a chalk drawing remained. A human silhouette, holding a rifle, standing alone, and beneath it. One word burned into the floor. Reload. An alien capital city buzzed with joy celebrations, music, lights. They thought the worst was over. Then, all at once, power died. The sky went dark. The city's defense grid dropped. On every screen, a face appeared. human-centric, he said. Only 2 words. We remember. Story. The planet Alias Prime was one of the most powerful worlds in the galaxy. Its towers touched the clouds, its ships blocked the skies. Its people believed they were untouchable. They had armies, shields, drones, AI-controlled cannons, 20 years without a single breach. But all that changed. In one night, it started with a simple outage. At exactly 2 o'clock standard time, the planetary grid flickered. Lights dimmed, alarms blinked, and then the power failed everywhere. Backup. Generators tried to engage. They failed. No one noticed the dark shape moving through the vents of the council tower, not even the AI. By the time security woke up, the generals... It was too late. They looked out the windows and saw something. Written in red light across the city plaza burned into the stone. A message. Earth never forgot. Then the screens inside the war room all blinked on, not with warnings, but with footage. From the past, thousands of files, hidden reports, images from 500 years ago when Alias ships turned away from Earth during the fall, when their leaders refused to help, when they sealed their borders and said, Earth is already dead. Now, the Earthborn were showing those files. To the public, to everyone, even the children, in every home, every screen, every school. You said we were monsters, the broadcast said, but we were your shield. You left us to burn. Now we rise, not for war, but for remembrance. We are not ghosts. We are history that fights back. Reload, the screens went black. And all across the city, people began to scream. In the shadows. Echo Unit 11 Spectre moved unseen. He had disabled the power grid with 2 keystrokes. He had silenced the guards with nothing but a knife. He never ran. He never spoke. He only completed his mission and vanished into the night. He left no blood, no chaos, only fear. Back on Echo Hammer, Commander Silas Wren reviewed the mission logs. Spectre. Performed as expected, the AI reported. Mission complete. Psychological disruption, 93%. Civilian panic, 84%. Military response, none. Silas nodded. Exactly what we wanted. His second-in-command, 22 Saber, asked, why not attack directly? Silas turned to the window, staring at the stars. Because they feared the monster in the dark more than the one in front of them. Let them prepare. Let them waste energy. We strike only when it matters. He turned back, and we do not warn them anymore. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council was in chaos. Alias Prime had not fallen, but it had been exposed. Its people turned against their leaders. Millions marched in the streets, asking, why did we abandon Earth? The Council tried to calm them, but the question echoed louder each day. What if they're right? What if the humans were the heroes, and we were the cowards? On a research station orbiting the ancient ruins of Earth's moon, a team of alien archaeologists uncovered something new. A sealed vault. Inside a message written in deep-cut steel. Do not open unless the stars forget our name. They opened. It. Inside was a data core surprisingly intact. When they powered it up, a hologram appeared, a woman in a tattered Earth uniform. Her voice was calm, her message short. If this is seen, Earth has already burned. But you must understand, we never fought to conquer. We fought to be remembered. If we are dust now, let our dust remind you, humanity may fall. She paused. But we always reload. The hologram ended. The aliens backed away in silence. Even now, Earth whispered through time on a quiet moon outpost. A trader named Loro received a strange visitor, tall human dressed in a black coat, no weapons visible. Loro had once served in the fleet that blockaded Earth. Now, he ran cargo for cheap. "Do I know you?" Loro asked. The human stared at him. "You left us behind," he said. I was just following orders." Loros, T-M-M-E-R-E-D. The human placed a bullet on the table, old metal, handmade, with the words, "For the Forgotten." Then he turned and walked away. Loro never saw him again. But that night, his Comes Tower exploded without a trace of a bomb. Only smoke, and a quiet click sound caught on the audio. On Council World Silenter, the leaders met in secret. One general stood up. "We must offer peace, send a signal, apologize." Another shouted, "They don't want peace, they want revenge." Stood last, he was silent for a moment. Then he spoke. "They want memory," he said. "They want the galaxy to know what was done. And they want every child to grow up hearing the truth that humans stood alone when no one else would. And now, they are not alone anymore." A quiet voice asked, "Can we defeat them?" Joran answered honestly, "No." That night, across hundreds of systems, a message appeared again. No voice, no face, just text, "The Earthborn, do not knock." They do not ask, they do not beg, they remember, they arrive, reload. Across the stars, radios began to hum. Screens flickered to life even, those long thought broken. One final broadcast reached every world in the galaxy. No visuals, just a voice. Human.com, scarred by war. And he said, "This is our last warning. The silence ends tonight." Story, the galaxy held its breath. From the crowded trade routes of Zoran's Reach to the crystal caves of Elnara, every screen and speaker carried the same signal. The voice of a human. A soldier, a ghost. Some knew him by name. Others only knew the myth. But all understood one thing. This was not a threat. This was a promise. We asked for help. You turned your backs. We burned alone. You celebrated now. We are what you made. U.S., we are the quiet between your stars. The shadow in your scanner. The hand that knocks after peace fails. The voice paused. This is the final broadcast. You will hear no more warnings. You will hear only reload, and the signal ended. Panic spread like wildfire. Planets activated. Defense grids. Armies prepared. Fleets launched. But there was no target, no fleet, no army, just silence. The same silence Earth had known. The day it was abandoned, inside the massive orbital city of Novera Highspire, one of the richest and most secure stations in the galaxy. Alarms began to ring, but it wasn't from outside, it came from within. Dozens of ships were suddenly grounded. Docking clamps locked, hangars sealed, security bots deactivated. On every deck, someone had left a mark, a chalk line, a circle. 7 stars, 1 word. Reload in the Council's war chamber. Chaos turned to desperation. "They're not attacking like armies," a general shouted. "They're moving like shadows. They're already inside," someone else screamed. Counselor Drex finally stood. His voice was quiet, but filled with fear. "They told us we had time," he said. "They warned us again and again. But we laughed. We delayed. And now we've run out of time." Joran stepped beside him. "The humans are not just coming. They are already here, and they are finishing what they began." He activated a map. Dots began to flash across hundreds of systems. Not explosions, but disappearances. Communication stations, fuel depots, black site prisons, command relays. Gone. Quietly. One by one. Without a sound, without a trace, in the skies above Thraxis 4. A passenger liner drifted off course. The crew reported engine failure. A distress signal was sent. An old patrol ship responded, but when it arrived, the liner was empty. No passengers, no bodies, just a single bullet placed neatly on the captain's chair and on the wall. Burned in with heat, history doesn't fade. It reloads. Back on Echo Hammer, Commander Silas Wren stood before the final mission board. The galaxy was now fractured, divided. Some worlds begged for peace, others built warships, but none of them understood the true plan. Unit 11 Spectre stepped forward. Do we strike now? Silas turned. His face was marked by age, fire, and betrayal. We do not strike, he said calmly. We reveal. He turned to the central AI. Broadcast the full archive. The AI replied. Confirmed. Releasing Earth Memory Core to galaxy-wide networks. Within seconds, every world received it. A massive data drop containing the truth. Footage from Earth's last days. Audio from leaders who betrayed treaties. Videos of humans shielding alien civilians while being left behind. Survivors of the Fire Wars begging for Aden getting none. Council leaders laughing on record. Black site logs showing Earthborns captured and experimented on. And last, the final transmission from Earth before it went dark. A girl, no more. Then 14 blood on her face, holding her younger brother in a collapsed bunker. Please, if anyone hears this, we're still here. We're still fighting. Don't forget us. That girl's voice spread across the stars, and silence followed. A silence heavier than death on a moon outpost. A veteran alien commander fell to his knees. He had served during Earth's fall. He had signed the order to blockade them, stared at the girl's image on the screen, and wept. Joran walked out into the street of his homeworld. The people were silent, watching, listening. Some cried, some screamed, some just stood, ashamed. He whispered to himself, they were never monsters. They were survivors. Back on Echo Hammer, Silas Wren watched the stars. Unit after unit reported in Echo 7 complete. Echo 13 extraction successful. Echo 4 target memory node purged. Echo 22 awaiting final directive. Silas nodded. They know now, they remember. Unit 22 asked, What now, Commander? Silas turned to the wall, where Earth's ruined flag was displayed faded, torn, and still glowing faint blue. We vanish, he said. We were never here for war. We came to deliver the memory. He looked out into space. Let them live with it. He paused, then added softly, Reload. One last time. On a world far from the core, a child found an old data chip. She played it. It was the voice of a human tired but warm. We never wanted revenge, just remembrance. We fought because we had no other choice. We screamed, but no one answered. So now, we roar. To be heard across time, if you're hearing this, teach your children. Let them know what silence costs. Let them know Earth stood and Earth reloaded. The stars were silent. The war was over before it began. No fleets arrived, no planets were destroyed, no Earthborn armies marched, and yet the galaxy had changed forever. Because the dead had spoken and their echoes still roared. Story. For the first time in centuries, the Galactic Council chambers were empty. No meetings, no speeches, no commands, only silence. Every leader had watched the Earth Memory Core. Every citizen had seen it too. Across 1,000 systems, holoscreens glowed with the truth, the forgotten screams, the unanswered cries, the betrayal, and the humans, rising from ash and silence, not to conquer, but to remind. In the shadows of a ruined outpost on Sector W-19, a small human ship waited. It was old, scorched, covered in battle scars. Inside, Commander Silas Wren stood alone. The rest of the Earthborn had scattered, their missions complete, their warnings delivered. He looked into a cracked mirror. Half his face was metal now, half was memory. It's done, he whispered. They remember. The AI inside his ship spoke. Echo units have gone dark. Mission logs archived. Number units remain active. Silas slowly removed his commander's badge, placed it on the control panel, and sat. I wonder, he said, if they'll teach their children right this time. The AI didn't answer. It didn't have to, because deep down, he already knew. The galaxy would never forget again. Elsewhere, Shuron stood before a crowd on Council World Drellen. No security, no guards, just civilians, millions of them waiting to hear the truth. He held up the Earth Girl's final transmission, the one from the bunker, the one no one had answered, and he spoke. She was a child, covered in ash. Her voice shook, but she didn't cry. She begged for help, and the stars stayed quiet. He looked up at the sky, but no longer. Then he He raised the Earthborn flag, torn, dirty, but still standing, and the Crodelian, human, mixed fell silent. Some bowed their heads, others saluted, but none looked away. On a farming colony on Jova Prime, a schoolteacher changed the history books. She deleted the old lies and replaced them with truth. She wrote, "Humanity stood alone in its final days, not because it wanted to, but because it was abandoned. And when the galaxy forgot, humanity made sure no one would again." On an asteroid near the galactic edge, a single light blinked on Dot, an old Earth relay station, long thought dead, came to life. It didn't send a warning or a threat, just a message, a soft, human voice reading the names of Earth's fallen, one by one, endlessly, without pause. Far away, young aliens began to ask questions. Why did they leave Earth behind? Why did the humans come back? What does Rayload mean? And their parents are shamed but wiser. Honestly, they told the story right this time about betrayal, about survival, about echoes that became action. And they told their children this: when you hear the word reload, it means don't forget. Don't stay silent. Don't walk away from those who need you. Or someday, they may come back wearing shadows. Back in deep space, in the quiet heart of a cold nebula, an ancient human satellite floated alone. No one remembered who launched it, but its speaker still worked, and every 24 hours, it broadcast one message into the void. We were Earth, we were forgotten, but we were not weak when they left us. We reloaded. Final words: the galaxy never heard from the Earthborn. Again, no new attacks, no new broadcasts, only echoes. Echoes of fear, echoes of respect, echoes of truth. Because in the end, humanity didn't return for revenge. They returned to make sure that silence never won again. They became myth, they became memory, they became the roar behind the stars. And if you listen, on the edge of space, where the stars blink slow and quiet, ... you might still hear it. That single, cold word dot, soft as a whisper, sharp as justice, reload. End of story.